Good morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday. I'm the Gray Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Tuesday, March 12th, 2024. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? May I please have the first 5 cards in our 5-card spread? First card we are starting our day off with today is Knight of Swords in its reversal. Masculine and feminine energy in the divine union frequency right now. One of the things that we're energetically seeing right now has been a lot of energy in relationality to practical spaces and places. Masculine and feminine yesterday were putting a lot of practice into play. Why? Because we saw that for the energy in the divine union frequency right now, coming up with a plan, being able to assess what feels like it is supportive, what feels like it is amplifying your mutual goals, your mutual aspirations. That is requiring a bit of refinement right now. As we indicated, particularly for the energy in the divine union frequency, there's only so much time. There's only so much energy that can be expended in certain spaces and places. That is why we see even now, and this is something that we see that the masculine is doing to a certain degree right now, looking at that point of energetic refinement is actually very intriguing right now for the masculine energy, because this is the masculine energy that's almost doing the work in the divine union frequency, that's amplifying that if there is a feeling of overwhelm, the solution isn't necessarily to have to work harder. It's to work smarter. It's to look at what feels like it is working well and to find those efficiencies. So one of the things that we see here that's very intriguing is I told you, just as we saw that masculine energy right now is moving more into their own heart space, allowing themselves to feel more, allowing almost a way to come into what would have previously been an emotionally overwhelming moment for the masculine, feeling that energetic overwhelm and then feeling almost the fact that they found an ability to have that energetic strength, that amplification of the expansion of the heart place here. This is having a masculine that is effectively looking at their own immediate instincts, looking at their own immediate desire to move forward and almost pausing to a certain degree, because this is a masculine energy. And I wanted to express this. This is really important because this isn't second guessing. There is a difference between second guessing, which is the amplification or articulation of someone making what is a very solid, wise choice and then questioning the solidity or validity of something, versus masculine that is learning to rein in their instinctual nature to rush forth. This is very much in alignment with what we were seeing was happening energetically right now for the masculine energy in the divine union frequency. Because just as you allow yourself this pause point of energetic expansion, allowing yourself just to feel what you're feeling and not rushing forward to take action on how you're feeling, this is creating that energetic pause point, if you will, for masculine that is building a feeling of peace, right? And that peace isn't something that just comes instinctually, right? It's almost feeling like in a way you're pushing back against your own natural state. But even now we're seeing that this is not a masculine energy that's doing this because they consider that that is something that is effectively or energetically wrong to do. This is masculine energy that is putting intentionality of purpose to lead forth prior to them following that energetic instinct to rush forward. So even now, this is a lot of that energetic wisdom that comes into play when you start to navigate an ability to hold space for your own emotional self that is coming towards the masculine in this modality. And I will say, it does feel a little difficult for the masculine to be able to embody this modality. It feels a little bit unnatural. But one of the gifts that we're able to navigate for ourselves is coming into a space of doing something that feels uncomfortable. Doesn't necessarily mean that it is wrong, right? It is allowing oneself to sit in that discomfort for a moment to say, the ability to do so is the amplification of masculine moving with intentionality, because that's almost the masculine feeling that sense of support for themselves, saying, I am able to move in spaces and places, not because they're easy for me, but because I've learned to navigate a level of discomfort, even in relationality, to what feels like it is that instinctual drive to push forward into spaces or places. Some of us would call this wisdom. Feminine energy, seeing a masculine energy, being able to do this, being able to come into that point of patience, being able to come into that point of pause. This is feminine also feeling that sense of security and stability and safety with masculine energy in the divine union frequency. This is feminine going like a little pat on the back, if you will, for masculine that's able to navigate in this way, because this is a feminine energy that almost feels that sense of energetic safety around a masculine, specifically due to the fact that this isn't a masculine energy that just leads with their instinct, just doesn't rush forward into things. This is the feminine feeling. Again, I told you, one of the energetic gifts that we've been coming through with a lot recently is the feminine appreciating, to a certain extent, that the feminine feels safe when the masculine protects the feminine from masculine. But that doesn't mean necessarily that the masculine protects the masculine from other masculine. It means that feminine appreciates masculine energy that has learned to control their own instincts in order to facilitate a positive connection with feminine. Feminine's also recognizing and realizing that this isn't a masculine that's purely doing this for the feminine's benefit. This is a masculine energy that has mastered this to a certain extent, or works to master this, because this is a masculine energy that is leading forth with intentionality and integrity of purpose. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now. This ability of masculine being presented in the same way right now. Again, almost a masculine energy that is coming into divine union, that is expressing their needs, that is expressing their desires, potentially even expressing their fears to the feminine. This is a masculine that may be feeling like they're just learning the ropes on how to do this. This may even be a masculine that feels like they haven't necessarily expressed these things to a feminine before. What is the feminine feeling? And potentially even feeling the anxiety that the feminine may move away from them at a time that they're expressing these doubts and fears. What is the feminine energy saying to the masculine coming into divine union in this way? This isn't a feminine energy that is frightened away from a masculine that articulates their doubts and fears. This is a feminine energy that wants to come into a point of resilience when they see the masculine able to shed their armor in this way, because that's how the feminine feels when the masculine comes into this modality. It doesn't feel like the masculine isn't strong. It feels like the masculine is finally taking that armor off, and feminine's feeling that weight of seeing a masculine coming into a state of trust and vulnerability with the feminine. It builds the energetic connection that leads to moving further into the divine union frequency. Masculine and feminine energy in separation. This is almost a lot of that import that's coming in right now for a lot of the energy that's continuing to do some healing work right now, particularly even energetic healing work in separation. As we saw, there's a lot of feminine energy right now that's moving away from some masculine energy that they're recognizing and identifying, or feeling like they've done everything that they can do. What is the feminine energy affirming to themselves that's moving forward in this way? That separation, that moving forward on their own pathwork, potentially even away from a masculine at this time. What is the feminine energy effectively affirming to themselves in this moment? That if a masculine energy is too frightened to be able to do that work with the feminine, then that is the feminine energy that is basically like energetically washing their hands, if you will, even at this time, trying to put healing on a masculine, because this is that energetic equivalent of feminine saying, I can only move with someone that has the courage to move with me. I can only heal with someone that has the courage to heal with me. And that is even why we see that while the feminine energy may be moving forward right now, building new energetic connections, they're holding room in the heart space for what they're leaving behind, with that sense of saying it is a shame because that energy was too frightened to be able to come forth and build with me in this capacity. That is why we see energetically for a lot of the feminine energy, this could even be articulating this to new energetic connections. But what we see and recognize and identify here is this is almost a feminine energy holding that energetic space of energetic emotional compassion, even as they go forth from a place of healing, because this is almost a feminine energy that feels like they understand and recognize the situation or the reasons why a masculine energy isn't coming into what they aspire and believe would be their highest version of self. And that's almost that moment of feminine energy saying, if I can't show this to them, there's no way I can tell them. If they can't want that for themselves, there's no way that we can have that together. So for a lot of the feminine energy, this may be the feeling of sadness or disappointment, because that's almost holding energetically that feeling of saying, I knew who that person could aspire to be. I had it within my own self. A lot of the feminine energy is still holding that manifestation of what they aspire or could see a masculine energy and separation being. But that's the feminine energy going, but they couldn't see it in themselves. Or they weren't moving in the capacity that they needed to move into that manifestation, right? This could almost be the feminine energy looking at some masculine energy and saying, I feel sadness because I see how that energy self-sabotages. But again, that point of recognizing is how the feminine energy is healing, even in a point of separation right now. That is looking at an energy with a level or degree of care and empathy, even if you're also recognizing that there's an inviolability point because someone hasn't come that far on their own journey. Masculine, if you are in separation right now, this is some of the anxiety and fear that some of the masculine energy may be having at this time. Why are we seeing some of the anxiety and fear coming through for masculine energy and separation? Because we are seeing here that there's a lot of masculine energy that potentially came into separation at a place of trying to take down your armor, trying to be your most authentic expression of self. A lot of the masculine energy is still working on that pathwork of recognizing and realizing that the failing in that modality wasn't one that you did the wrong thing in being your authentic expression of self. It had more to do with a lack of alignment in relationality to meeting an energy that was not in the same space or place with you on the path. For a lot of the masculine energy, this is feeling very difficult because this is effectively articulating a masculine that is trying to move forward right now. They're trying to move forward, but at a point of deep vulnerability, almost letting that armor down as they try to build those new energetic connections for the hope of coming into alignment. But it's tricky work for masculine energy and separation right now, because this is almost the masculine energy saying to themselves, how can I move forward with confidence while also being extremely open and exposed, silk to steel? So for a lot of the masculine energy unpacking this right now, that is very hard work, because you're trying to lead forward right now while also being vulnerable, taking a page from the feminine's book. Because if you're trying to do that, masculine, I'll tell you right now, there's a lot of feminine energy that can help you understand and recognize how one goes forward being strong and vulnerable. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now. Second card in our 5-card spread for today is Two of Wands in its reversal. Masculine and feminine energy. As I said, even as this energy is trying to move forward right now, it also feels like there's a lot of weight and heaviness, because of some of the energy right now, you are moving forward on your own pathwork because you're effectively seeing in some way, shape, or form that there's an inviolability point in where you aspire and desire to go right now. That is why we see even now a lot of this energy feels like there's some kind of energetic connection here that like you've kind of like you've reached, like, I want to say, like an energetic stalemate on. That's the best way to kind of express it. What does an energetic stalemate look like? Well, an energetic stalemate looks like the recognition point that if you're feeling like everything you're asking from someone is a bridge too far, then that's that observation of having to say to yourself, I guess we're on different bridges. Right? And that is what is so difficult for a lot of the feminine and masculine energy in separation right now. It's not the aspiration of someone being on your same energetic bridge, right? You want that to occur. It's the observation and the recognition of the reality that you're seeing something in the present that is making clearly indicative clarity points that you're on very different paths, that you're on very different bridges. That moment and modality, if you are, it's difficult. For both of the energies, this could be a lot of contemplation on what isn't working right now, but that's that moment that you're building and you're receiving that karmic energetic healing. because that's that feeling of catharsis, that sad but true energy to a certain extent, saying, I would aspire and desire that we be on the same bridge. I wish we were on the same page. But every indication that I'm potentially seeing with someone is giving clear indications that we are not. That ability to observe that is what is empowering a lot of energy to proceed forward at this point. Because that's almost that moment of us ascertaining. And even now we see that this energy is taking enough accountability of themselves in separation to almost ask themselves in separation if there's anything else one could effectively do to try to build that energetic bridge. But this is that observational point that the feminine and masculine are receiving in relationality to understanding that if you're trying to build a bridge with someone, someone needs to be also doing it on the other side. Again, mutual path work. And that's why we see energetically right now, a lot of the feminine energy may be expressing or even moving forward right now and saying, I aspired and desired to build something with someone. They couldn't do the same path work. They were either too afraid to do that path work or they didn't understand what I was asking them to do. This is how the feminine energy is affirming to themselves that ability to move forward at this time. Masculine energy in separation with the feminine, continuing to move forward. This ability of recognition, the reason the masculine right now is trying to move forward at a place of finding their confidence, but also being their most authentic, vulnerable expression of self, is masculine is potentially looking at the past experience that they just left and almost putting that level or degree of accountability on themselves, especially if there was a separation event that led to the masculine opening up to a feminine, but not doing it from the start. That is why we see now that this is masculine energy in that healing space saying, how can I be my most authentic expression moving forward to prevent what was the point of recognizing that me and another energy wanted and desired very different things. That affirmation, that recognition point is what is allowing a lot of masculine energy right now to try to learn this work even in separation. But what's beautiful about this is masculine energy doing this for the sake of the masculine. This isn't the masculine energy in separation doing this to try to figure out how to impress a feminine energy. This is a masculine energy saying, how can I be my most authentic version of self, leading forward so that I can find the connection that is for me, that counterpart energy that is in alignment with me. Masculine and feminine energy that is coming into the divine union frequency. This is the modality of masculine building that sense of affirmation for themselves as they proceed forward. As I said, a lot of this energy coming into the divine union frequency right now, this is potentially masculine saying, I've never spoken to feminine like this. I've never expressed these things to feminine. This is the building of the connective energetic tissue, if you will. Because this is almost the masculine energy saying to themselves, in the past, I would have been too afraid to do so. Now, what is happening right now for a masculine that's opening up to a feminine and finding that the more vulnerable you are for the feminine, the closer that bond becomes, the more the feminine rises to the challenge of supporting you. This is masculine energy feeling that validation of alignment and potentially, again, looking back on past experiences and saying to themselves, I was too afraid to do that. I was too afraid in those past experiences. The reason that connection point didn't happen in the past was potentially because I was not prepared for the idea that in order to be strong, I had to be vulnerable. So even now we see that is feeling like for a lot of the energy of the masculine coming into divine union, this profound observation on one's own self and path work, even at a time that you are building an energetic bridge with the feminine. Feminine energy, seeing a masculine coming into this place of accountability, almost giving that point of reference, talking about the past, but with that weight of accountability, saying, I understand now how my actions may have led to those separation moments. That is, again, a feminine energy that feels the full weight and power of seeing a masculine that is putting their armor down, because that is almost a feminine feeling like there's a masculine that's trying to say to the feminine, I am not perfect. What is the feminine energy saying to the masculine at this time? I never asked you to be perfect. Perfection was never the requirement for a connection with the feminine. This is almost feminine saying your ability to observe yourself, your ability to take accountability for the shortcomings, for the spaces or places you feel like you could have done better. That's the feminine almost saying to the masculine, thank you for that. Thank you for that gift, because that to the feminine, seeing a masculine that's able to take that level or degree of accountability is a gift, because that is a feminine that sees a masculine that is on a perpetual healing journey, right? Masculine and feminine in the divine union frequency, this is that ability that you recognize and you see in relationality to the energy that you're moving in alignment with. Now, for masculine, one of the things that's very fascinating right now for masculine is a lot of the masculine energy in the divine union frequency is getting more comfortable feeling what would have been described as an emotional overwhelm point. You may have recognized that you're going through things that had they happened in the past, you would have been more reactive to. What's happening to a masculine right now that's building that energetic connection with the feminine? This is masculine energy that's taking notes from the feminine energies books and saying, I can allow myself to feel the full expression of my emotions without reacting to them, and then pausing prior to reacting to them. So this is the masculine energy that's almost intentionally feeling that ability to slow things down is actually the energetic gift that they're effectively receiving, because this is a masculine energy that's continuing to move forward with a lot of intentionality of purpose. Feminine, seeing a masculine that has this ability in as well, is creating a sense of safety for the feminine, because this is a feminine energy that trusts the judgment of the masculine energy that they are in the divine union frequency with. This isn't a masculine energy that looks before they leap. This is a masculine energy that considers what they desire to do, potentially even unpacks it with the feminine prior to moving forward. And that I have to stress here. Do you see the difference? That is not a masculine energy that is doing that because it's seeking feminine permission. That is masculine energy that is learning the value and power of coming into a space of consideration of one's own reactivity zone to be able to move with a deeper sense of intentionality, right? That even now we see could be a masculine energy saying, I always misunderstood. I always misunderstood when a masculine was talking to a feminine, having to get their feedback. I always thought that they were getting permission. This is the energy in the divine union being like, it was never about permission. It's about the masculine learning this ability to be able to articulate on what their reactivity space is. That is the gift of the divine counterpart union. Third card in our 5-card spread for today is transverse. It makes it easier. It makes it easier because it doesn't feel like the full weight of responsibility rests solely on a single individual in the divine union frequency. This is that modality that articulates it. If someone is in the divine, like there's no divine union frequency where you say, well, I just look to them and I see what they want to do. I just do whatever they tell me to do. No, that's not how the divine union frequency works. You bear that weight. You share that burden. It is the observation point that your actions will immediately have an impact on the energy of the counterpart that you are in the divine union with. So the ability to navigate forward in that way, to be able to articulate upon it, is again that gift of basically saying, I recognize that we're in the same lake, and anything I do is going to have a reactivity point that you encounter as well. So what is the energy in the divine union frequency doing? They are having those points of consideration. They are articulating on their plans to be able to see and recognize how it's going to affect the energy that's around them. So this is the beauty that we're seeing right now of the divine union frequency coming back into a better alignment, even though we saw a little bit more of that rigor over the last few weeks. Masculine and feminine energy. This is masculine energy having that like aha moment, that once you suddenly realize it in the divine union frequency, it suddenly makes you feel like you are a little bit of a like if you didn't realize, like one of those moments you're like, I can't believe I didn't realize this before. So for a lot of the masculine energy, this is that modality coming into the divine union frequency of recognizing and identifying and feeling to a certain extent that slowing down, if you will, because you're recognizing that when you come into connection with someone that deeply, nothing you do won't have an impact on the energy that you are counterpart to. That gift of love we're almost seeing now is almost a masculine energy working through their own desires, their own ability to move forward, to make sure that the feminine energy is also in alignment. Not again, and this is the masculine energy having that light bulb moment of realizing and recognizing that's not because they need to seek some point of permission from the feminine, so much as that sense that you're no longer moving in a state or space of autonomy. You have someone that shares your burdens. You have someone that makes something easier. But that also means that when you make a point of activation, that is also going to impact the energy that you are counterpart to. So we see right now that for a lot of the energy coming into this modality, that deepening understanding, if you will, is the amplification of a masculine that's saying, I never understood this before. I never really got this. It never really clicked. Well, for a lot of the energy right now, masculine coming into divine union frequency, this is the moment that it may be energetically clicking. Feminine energy, seeing a masculine that has this value of recognition, that doesn't just do what they want and tell you afterwards, but is giving you the grace or being able to say, articulating and saying, this is where I'm moving. This is what I'm going to do. Is this going to work for you? This is feminine energy also going, oh, thank goodness, because this is a feminine energy that recognizes the value of a masculine that takes a moment before following their gut instincts to recognize that their adjustments affect and impact the feminine energy. So this is feminine that, again, it's like all of this energy is almost feminine going like, yes, we'll make it work. Thank you for telling me. It's almost like that type of energy. It's like, where in this energetic space here would a feminine say like, slow your brakes, unless there was an energetic problem? Masculine and feminine energy in separation. This is that modality that is almost articulating and saying, I wanted to make something easy. Like there's an energy here. There's a recognition point. A lot of the energy in separation is working on the manifestation of looking at situations and circumstances that were always a bridge too far. You know where you get a lot of clarity? When you have situations and circumstances where you're asking something from someone and it always seems like it's a bridge too far. It always seems like it's a little too hard. This is that energy that we're potentially seeing right now, even in separation, of masculine and feminine moving forward and suddenly feeling the easement of what may have been very energetically hard for another connection that is almost now being facilitated in how easy something is. This is potentially some breakthrough energy that's happening right now in feminine and masculine energy and separation, either seeing it in a tangible way right now or in a metaphysical way. This is the karmic healing. This is the karmic healing. What happens? Where's the karmic healing if you're taking too much accountability for something that doesn't work? The minute that you do the same thing that you always did and it wasn't working, but suddenly it just immediately facilitates easement with another energy. That is also karma getting healed, because that's the recognition point that you are trying to take on too much karmic burden. If something that you are doing, you're now doing with someone else, and it's having a different response, it's creating an easement point. You see how quickly or easily something can move. That's the moment that you karmically heal, because you recognize and identify that what you may have been taking too much accountability for wasn't due to a lack of the right energetic effort on your part. It has to do with that we were probably working with an energy that was pulling in the opposite direction. So even now we see that a lot of that insight is coming through for a lot of the energy and separation. That bridge, that bridge. Fourth card in our 5-card spread for today is we have the easement. Sometimes the easement is the karmic healing, right? When we look at something and we say, why isn't this working? Why isn't this working? Why can I do that's different that isn't working? A lot of the energy in separation is just going towards another energetic connection right now. And it's almost like, boop, here's your order. That's what you want. Here it is. The speed, the expediency of doing something and receiving something right now in separation that may have potentially energetically felt like it was like chewing glass, like energetically, like carrying a boulder up a hill, something that someone made it seem like it was the heaviest burden you could possibly imagine. Suddenly, like just sliding across the ice with someone else without even like a second thought. That is karmic healing, because it's suddenly that moment that builds that dawning revelation on you to a certain extent in recognizing what was effectively your energetic problem, what was effectively something that you yourself needed to fix, versus immediately seeing that potentially that wasn't an area that you needed to fix. You were just moving with an energetic counterpart that did not desire and aspire the same things that you wasn't in alignment. So a lot of the energy right now in separation, getting some kind of sweet download showing you how easy it can be when you're not working with energy that feels like they're pulling against you. So even now for the feminine energy, this could be a little bit of a shocker in separation, being like, wow, that would have been an absolute deal breaker. That would have been an absolute no. I spent weeks working on that with someone. You're just giving it to me. You just hand it to me without like a second thought. You'll just do that. Like, that's that moment that feels like the feminine energy coming into a deeper understanding of themselves with the easement of the breakthrough. Masculine, you may be seeing this as well. If there was something about your own self that you were afraid to reveal, because prior to this, or again, some kind of energetic space, you either felt that it was wrong to be that open, or that feeling that would have created some point of anxiety or confusion. Again, that moment of masculine opening up to feminine and seeing how easy it can be when you just lead forward with honesty and openness and clarity. This may be feeling like a lot of masculine that's suddenly looking and receiving a lot of insight as it relates to situations from the past that you didn't necessarily bring that forth on. But again, if you're feeling that right now, masculine, congratulations. You've had a breakthrough. You've had a personal breakthrough. Don't hold yourself too energetically accountable for how long it may have taken to reach that point. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now. This energy, feeling the easement, feeling how easy it can be, even now, it's creating that moment that's like a little like anxiety inducing, because that's almost that moment that we're seeing for some of the energy in the divine union that almost feels like that anxiety that there's going to be another shoe that drops. There's not going to be another shoe that drops potentially here, because we're seeing that, again, these are not energies. If you're coming into divine union, it's not like you're doing this because you're putting up a false sense of self, right? We just saw that. Masculine moved away from the feminine energy that was putting up the false sense of self to be able to facilitate connection with masculine by leading forth with that openness and clarity. When everybody's just open and you're in alignment with someone that's in alignment, everything becomes profoundly easier, right? Feminine energy, seeing a masculine that's already done this work, not feeling like you need to pull teeth of masculine to move them into healing. A masculine that just does this intentionally, does this naturally because they do it for their own self. That is the feminine energy also feeling that validation point, because this is a feminine that sees a masculine that pushes themselves in this way. So for both masculine and feminine energy, this is that feeling of coming into divine union, and the easement and the efficiency of doing things is amplifying. Even now, and this is what we were aspiring for the energy in the divine union frequency, which is just like getting to the task at hand. Masculine and feminine, almost again, shedding what isn't energetically working, adopting what is, continuing into that path of refinement, is something that is both happening in a tangible way right now, but also happening in relationality to communication, and also happening in relationality to directionality, right? Like both the energies right now working very hard to facilitate what feels like an easy bridge, but that isn't coming from a place or space of inauthenticity in the divine union frequency. It almost is that moment of gratitude and saying like that appreciation point in how easy it is to be in alignment with someone. Fifth card in our 5-card spread is, the tricky part about this is always the abandonment wound that comes into play. It's always the abandonment wound that comes cropping up, because what happens energetically when something is moving easily, when something is easing up? Why is it that you move into that space when you think everything is going smoothly, you start building anxiety that something may go wrong? This is why we even see right now that a lot of the energy that's working through this right now is almost navigating and pushing back against their own abandonment wounds. Because it's that modality, even in the divine union frequency, that feels like you're doing a lot of work in terms of recognizing and trying to find your own abandonment wounds, right? The energy in the divine union frequency has done a lot of work to work through any kind of aspect of the self that may lead to self-sabotage. Even now, we see that the energy in the divine union frequency is holding up that positive mirror, helping that point of reinforcement for each other to help recognize the difference between the amplification of a true concern, something that needs to be addressed, versus what may be a false narrative, a narrative of anxiety and doubt and fear. So even now we see that this energy is processing some of that energetic doubt and fear. But what is happening right now for the energy in the divine union frequency? Addressing the logical fears and just just shedding the rest, energetically shedding the rest. If there's a fear that you have that you can't activate upon, then that is a false fear. If there's a fear that you cannot move forward in, that is that moment of saying, I can carry it, but I can't do anything with it. I'm not going to obsess over it. I'm not going to over concentrate on it. I'm going to acknowledge it's there. I'm going to keep checking on it to see if there's something I can do about it. And if I can't, then I'm going to proceed forward. So we see everything that's effectively happening here to a certain extent is that amplification, as it were, of masculine and feminine energy, recognizing moving forward with that intentionality, but putting the time, effort, and energy in what they feel that they can control and change versus acknowledging what they can't and continuing to persevere in that way of finding the efficiencies, finding the productivities. Masculine and feminine energy that is coming into divine union. This observational point, feeling, seeing, experiencing how easy it can become when you're moving with intentionality and purpose towards situations and circumstances. What we're effectively seeing here is that moment that may be feeling like you're having some of that feeling of the abandonment wound coming up. I told you, for some of the energy that is coming into the divine union frequency, it's almost that moment that as things are going well, you start to feel that rising anxiety because it's like you've got so much bandwidth right now that you're almost saying to yourself, oh, this couldn't possibly be this good. Things couldn't possibly be moving this smoothly. What is the energy staying in the divine union frequency doing? They're holding space for that. They're articulating on their doubts and fears. They're not overly amplifying them, right? They're not overly amplifying them. Even now, we see that in the divine union frequency, a lot of this work that is allowing energy to stay in the divine union frequency is navigating forth and looking at their own anxieties and doubts and fears and saying, is this something that is practically seen? Is this something that I actually need to be concerned about? Or is this something that I am noticing the bubbling up within me that potentially happens when things are going well? So we see even now a lot of this energetic unpacking that's potentially happening right now for a lot of the energy coming into the divine union frequency. It's heavy. It's hard. I told you, it's that amplification of saying, if things are going so well, why do I feel so much anxiety? Because that's that moment that you're effectively feeling that is helping you discover and see your own abandonment wounds. When things are going well, if you start feeling anxiety, guess what? Pop goes the weasel. You just found your abandonment wound. If you just found your abandonment wound in a minute that everything's going well and you start feeling that anxiety, aha, I got you. That's that moment of identifying it, saying, where are you? Where did you come from? How long have I been carrying that? Because that's that moment that's helping you see it, as opposed to letting it overshadow the positive and start moving in alignment with something that you're not even recognizing is there, so much as something that you recognize rises up when you're feeling elation or happiness or joy. Masculine and feminine energy that are in separation right now, you are effectively energetically confronting the abandonment wound. Because what are we seeing that's energetically happening right now for both masculine and feminine energy? If there's a feminine energy that was moving towards a masculine and asking for things. And every time that masculine made it seem like it was a bridge too far, that what the feminine was asking was too much work, pulled against the feminine, was trying to drag them into the opposite direction. Feminine immediately seeing, as they move away from that energy, examples around how easy it is to facilitate and receive the thing that one was asking for from another counterpart energy. Having that breakthrough moment is feminine saying, why would I stay energetically with someone that made it feel like it was so hard to receive that? I was afraid of losing them. I was putting the fear of losing them above my own sense of what I know I deserved or what I needed to ask for. So that's that moment that we're effectively or energetically seeing to a certain extent that is amplifying the feminine coming into that point of healing, as it were, in recognition to what feels like that observation point and saying, oh my goodness, my abandonment wound allowed me to perpetuate or stay in a cycle where I wasn't getting what I could have easily received for fear of losing what I had that felt like it wasn't in alignment. Masculine energy, you're also potentially going through this right now, specifically and directly in situations and circumstances where, if again you were in a partnership or in a situation that you felt like you had to contort, or you felt like the feminine energy was not in alignment with you, or something about your true self always felt like it was that anxiety point, being able to lead forth right now is very energetically difficult, because while we see that the masculine energy is trying to lead forth from a place of clarity, of authenticity, of emotional expression, at the same time, this is masculine energy that is confronting their own abandonment wound every step of the way. And that is why we see for a lot of the masculine energy right now, this may be feeling like you are facing your own doubts and your own fears leading forward from that point of authenticity. But what's beautiful about a lot of the masculine energy that's doing this right now is you are facing those fears. You are confronting those anxieties, but you're proceeding forward anyway, because you're trying to facilitate that clear bridge in terms of finding alignment with the right energetic counterpart energy. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Knight of Swords in its reversal in combination with our Two of Wands in its reversal. May I please have one card for clarity? Clarification coming through right now with our Four of Cups, masculine and feminine energy. What occurs when you move forward in this way? What occurs when you take that different direction? What is happening right now for a lot of the energy and separation? Making that hard choice, breaking a cycle, allowing oneself to break an energetic cycle is what allows for a new energetic opportunity to come forth. So this is effectively what we're seeing that is happening right now for a lot of the energy and separation. That observation point that if you're not necessarily energetically receiving what you know it is that you facilitate and deserve for both masculine and feminine, this is that moment that you're allowing for that energetic clearing, as it were, to offer a new possibility or a new opportunity. For masculine, this is leading forth from a state of clarity, openness, integrity, basically observing your own past cycles and saying, I don't want to do what I know hasn't been serving me. I need to take a different approach if I want a different outcome. This is the beautiful energetic breakthrough of masculine in separation, observing your own patterns and now focusing on how you can break forward and free of them. For feminine energy, in this modality, what we're effectively seeing right now is, again, this expression of feminine. If there was a masculine that you were asking for something from and the masculine was not giving it to you, the ability to just basically ask from it from another energy, moving forward in this way and seeing how easily it is potentially offered, is building a lot of understanding and clarity on what may have come before that was not providing that. So we see even now a lot of that energetic breakthrough coming through right now for the energy and separation, either on a metaphysical or tangible aspect. Masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union right now, that observational point, as it were, that point of recognition, that point of personal understanding, feeling that, seeing it being offered to you, it potentially is even now creating that moment of potential anxiety. Why? Because we saw that a lot of the energy coming into the divine union frequency right now is having that moment of energetic breakthrough with a new energetic counterpart energy. But again, this is that moment of understanding that if something feels easy, it's not that you just stumbled into it. It's because you made the intentional choices to allow for that point of easement. Masculine, leading forth with a state of integrity, allowing that emotional expression to be one that builds a bridge with the feminine, as opposed to self-sabotaging or pulling away at a time that you're feeling a deep emotional connection point. Feminine, having that moment of energetic understanding, building that point of resiliency with masculine, and also moving away, recognizing and understanding that your own ability to move away from masculines that weren't in that space or place of doing this type of energetic healing is where we see these energies are having that energetic breakthrough. So even now, having that moment, it feels a little bit like, I can't believe, like it's like that I can't believe this is happening. But it's also because you have to recognize that you've been doing that work to allow that type of energetic connection to facilitate. So we see that both of these energies right now, they're putting a lot of consideration on their own past path work that may have led them to come into union as easily as they are. This is almost that moment that it's like, it feels like a little bit of like a mind bender, because you're seeing and understanding things from your past with a new heightened sense of integrity and clarity. Masculine and feminine energy that is in the divine union frequency, this modality that we're effectively seeing right now, this point of recognition, this is that moment that is allowing for new opportunities to take root. What have we been seeing that the energy in the divine union frequency has been doing recently? A lot of the energy is looking and change and making modifications, making adjustments, becoming more adaptable, recognizing that you yourself have been on some kind of evolutionary process internally since the time that you entered the divine union frequency. A lot of that energy right now is utilizing their own path work to ascertain what that viability point is, what the prioritization is going forward. For masculine and feminine energy, that is that energetic expression, if you will, in terms of recognizing what feels like it is a cycle or process that's no longer serving you in order to facilitate a new outcome. So even now we see that a lot of the energy in the divine union frequency, this is putting, I told you, a lot of plans, a lot of practices into play, but all for the sense of self-assessment and being able to come into that higher version of self. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our 2 of Wands in its reversal in combination with our 10 of Wands in its transverse. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now. This card, I keep telling you, we've been getting these cards. This card, I'm laughing because this card keeps showing up. It just keeps showing up in our readings. Like all week, it keeps showing up. The funny thing about this card is that it keeps changing its effective position. It keeps going up and then down, up and then down. So for masculine and feminine energy that are in the divine union frequency, this is that modality that we're effectively seeing right now, because all of this is creating a lot of energy around planning, around creativity, around communication. What is the energy in the divine union frequency doing right now? They are working through, they are building those bridges. They are figuring out what they need to facilitate. A lot of the work over the last few weeks has been the energy effectively or energetically trying to come into better alignment, right? So for the energy in the divine union frequency, this is that observation in relationality to what you feel like you need to release to be able to facilitate more energy to put forth into where you aspire to go. Masculine and feminine energy right now in this modality, it is resulting and leading to a lot of plans, to a lot of consideration. Even now we see for masculine energy, This ability to pause, this ability to take that moment of consideration prior to moving into a point of activation. This is feeling like that sense of coming into better understanding of your own self, because that's that moment that you're feeling that if you are taking the time to wait, that ability is one that you're almost cultivating in your own self. So being able to come into that power of understanding, that is what I said. Some would call it wisdom. That's the ability of the masculine that's almost articulating right now in a masculine that's putting a lot of care and consideration in the plan ahead, not just letting their immediate instincts guide them forward. A feminine that sees a masculine that moves in this capacity or moves in this modality also feels that point of security, because this is the feminine energy feeling the strength of a masculine that thinks about all possibilities prior to taking a point of activation. So for a feminine energy to see a masculine that's doing that work on the self to be able to move in that way, this is the feminine also feeling that sense or center of support and alignment, because this is the feminine that feels like they have been cultivating a relationship with masculine that helps a masculine come into their best version of self in this way. Masculine and feminine energy that is coming into the divine union frequency. This is going to feel like a lot of the masculine energy coming into some point of energetic or spiritual maturation as you enter this frequency, because what we're effectively identifying right now for a lot of the energy in this modality is you may be realizing and recognizing that if you're considering the thoughts and the feelings of the other, if you're considering masculine, your connection to the counterpart prior to moving into a state of activation, that is the gift of the energy of the divine union, because that's that moment that you recognize, and that doesn't mean that you're subservient to that energy. It means to a certain extent that masculine feels like that is an expansion and extension of their own self. Why would the masculine not articulate those needs and desires to the rest of their own self prior to moving forward? That would not be serving the self. So we see even now that for a lot of the masculine energy moving forward in this way, this is that point of understanding, that outside looking in approach that you may have misconstrued. But now that you're in the divine union frequency, it's like your eyes are finally open to it, because you're always like, oh, I always looked at the energy in the divine union frequency and I thought that it felt like it was subservient to the feminine. This is the masculine being like, no, I get it now. That's the energy, making sure that the energy around them is all in alignment, because that's that energy of balance. That's that energy of building forth and recognizing that the energy around you is doing everything that they can to support you. So we see even now for a lot of the energy of the masculine, recognizing and realizing this could feel like a very eye-opening moment. But that point of eye-opening is almost like that point of clarity and looking at the past self being like, I didn't get it at all. Feminine, seeing a masculine that recognizes this, seeing a masculine that moves in this way, seeing a masculine that feels like they're in alignment with you, that you are partnered with them, that you both carry the weight for each other and you work as like a team, you work in a partnership capacity, you work in terms of making things as easy for each other as possible. This is that moment for feminine that almost feels like that vindication point or validation point in anything that they had to move away from that wasn't facilitating this, because this is feminine going, oh my gosh, I found them. But that's feminine going, not I found them. That's feminine energy saying, I found masculine energy that recognizes the value and power of coming into their own healing journey. Not doing this for the sake of pleasing me. Not doing this for the sense of like feeling like they have to. This is the masculine that really understands the weight and the power of building an equal, aligned, energetic connection so that we can facilitate each other's growth in the most positive, productive way possible. Masculine and feminine energy right now in separation. This is the manifestation goal of the feminine. This is why if a feminine energy keeps hitting this moment that what they're asking from a masculine feels like a bridge too far, feels like they're asking for too much. This is the feminine energy going, they don't want to be in partnership. They don't want the type of partnership I want. I can care about them as much as I want. I can love that energy. I can feel passion for that energy. But that energy does not look for alignment. They're looking for a place where they have soul autonomy. They're looking at a space or place where they want to be able to make the decisions or make the choices. That's the feminine energy in separation saying, I am seeking an energetic partner. I am manifesting and desiring an energetic partner with masculine that wants to build with me, that wants to create a bridge between us, that we support and empower each other. And this is the feminine energy effectively, energetically holding on to that goal, even in the sense of moving away from some masculine energy that they feel they're not facilitating this with, because this is a feminine energy that's looking and saying, I hope that that energy can find that for themselves. I hope that they can understand that, because when the energy comes into that point of understanding that, that is what allows for the energetic breakthrough to occur. And this is the feminine saying, I cannot teach this to an energy that does not recognize this. They must desire this. They must want this for themselves. And if they don't, then I need to just be observant of it, because that is the difference between moving towards the energetic connection that feels like it's in alignment versus the feminine energy feeling like they are trying to push or conform the masculine into a space or place that they either don't understand what they're asking for or they don't want it. It doesn't matter which one it is, because they're both the same in the wash. Masculine energy in separation. Your ability to lead forward at this time, your ability to try to come into integrity, this lesson that you're potentially even reaching, having found yourself in relationships or situations that felt like they were false realities because you effectively constructed the false reality. This is the masculine saying, I need to learn the confidence in being my authentic self with the feminine, because only by expressing what I authentically aspire and desire with the feminine can I have everything that I desire. This is the masculine energy moving into that state of becoming their highest version of self. It's not easy. It's making the masculine have to confront their own abandonment wounds, because that path of communication and integrity starts with vulnerability. It starts with humility. You can't have one without the other. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now, between our 10 of Wands in its transverse in combination with our 5 of Wands in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with the Justice card in its reversal. So what is the feminine energy learning right now on their own journey of self-discovery in separation? Feminine energy saying, my job is not to fix an imbalance in the masculine. My job is to observe when it's there and then just move away from it. This is the feminine energy coming into the karmic clearance point, either recognizing and receiving something that is much easier right now in separation that is creating a breakthrough moment. The feminine energy almost saying to themselves, I need to hold myself accountable, that I potentially saw and recognized that there was an imbalance between me and a masculine energy, and I took on the role and responsibility of trying to correct it. When we see it, you just need to observe it's there. If someone doesn't want to change the imbalance, that's probably because they prefer it to be imbalanced. And for a lot of the feminine energy right now, that observation point and recognizing, sad but true, that there's some masculine energy that would prefer an unbalanced energetic relationship with the feminine. That's the feminine saying, noted. That's a feminine energy saying, I just got to be on the lookout for that. That's something that the feminine has to say, like, I just recognize and see that not everybody will desire and aspire for a balanced connection with feminine. I need to be wary of that. I need to be vigilant for that. So we see even now that a lot of the feminine energy right now is leading forth in terms of articulating what they aspire and desire with a masculine energy to ascertain, even in these new potential connections with masculine, to say, do you actually want a balanced relationship? Or are you still seeking a relationship that leans towards you having all of the cards, you having all of the chips? Are you wanting to build a false world of illusion around me? Do you want to move in a state of autonomy? That's not divine union. That's okay. That's all right. That's not what you don't want what I want. That's okay. Recognizing that. Even saying to themselves, you know what? I'm not even going to say it's wrong. I'm just going to say it's not for me. That's not the balance that I aspire for. That's not the desire that I aspire for in my connections. That point of observing that, even now, we see the feminine energy almost coming into that point of being like, no thanks. The power of saying no. The power of saying, I prefer not. It's okay. No hard feelings. No hard feelings. right? That is effectively the energy of the feminine energy in separation right now. And that's the feminine energy saying, I am holding to my manifestation of desiring and aspiring a healed masculine energy, a masculine energy that recognizes the value and power of partnership with the counterpart feminine energy. Masculine, you're doing the same exact work right now if you are in separation. It's harder for the masculine because this is the masculine observing how your own ability to potentially put up that false front in the past led to imbalances with feminine, led to two energies that desired and aspired for different things. This is masculine energy feeling some kind of karmic burden right now if in separation, saying, I'm somewhat, and we mean this with like energetic compassion for some of the masculine energy. If this was a moment that led to separation from you trying to come into your state and space of authenticity, this is masculine energy saying, I need to hold myself accountable. I need to hold myself accountable that if I wasn't leading forth with honesty to feminine, and then they found something out about me, or they discovered something about me, or we realized something that showed that we weren't in alignment, this is masculine saying, I can't do that. That creates a terrible situation for me. So what is the masculine doing right now? They're working really hard in trying to find this alignment within the self. And what does that alignment look like within the self right now? This is masculine energy trying to employ that silk to steel approach. How can I move forward and be strong yet vulnerable? How can I find my strength in being open? How can I be vulnerable towards the feminine energy that I approach? How can I be my most authentic version of self? Because the more and this is the masculine saying, and why is it so hard? What is it in me that makes me so potentially afraid at the thought of being open and vulnerable to the feminine? This is literally masculine in separation going, what on earth am I afraid of? What is that? What is that fear? This is a lot of masculine energy right now, unpacking a deep ancestral abandonment wound, asking themselves in separation, why is it so hard? What do I fear? And that work, that ability to say, oh, there it is. What is that? That is what a lot of the masculine energy is doing right now. That is helping the masculine energy, even at a point of coming into strength, because this is the masculine trying to articulate what that anxiety point is, even with themselves in separation. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now. This modality, this ability, this recognition point, feminine seeing a masculine, knowing how hard it is for masculine to do this. Seeing a masculine that is even now articulating their own fears and being open to feminine and saying, but I'm doing it anyway. That ability of masculine to power through their own abandonment wound, their own vulnerability point, to be able to articulate that feeling and that need to feminine. This is masculine, feminine going, they do this for themselves. This is a masculine energy this is a healed masculine energy. This is a masculine energy that's on that path because they chose to be on that path. They're not doing it to kowtow to me. They're not doing it to try to please me. This is a masculine energy that pushes themselves into uncomfortable situations because they lead forth with the aspiration of who they desire to be, even when it is difficult, because that is how we bring a manifestation goal into practice. Manifesting isn't easy. You can't just say, I want something, and just sit on your hands and say, okay, I'm going to do whatever I want, and then hope that that happens. This is feminine energy seeing a masculine and saying, this is a masculine energy that knows how to manifest, because this is a masculine energy that knows the level and degree of accountability they hold themselves to, and then they push through their own abandonment wound to be able to be that person. They push through when it's hard. They do the hard work. So for feminine energy, this is the feminine almost feeling the value and weight of recognizing a masculine coming into divine union that's doing that and saying and seeing it and saying, I know how hard it is. I know how hard it is for a masculine to do that, and feeling the value of recognizing a masculine that they have found that is on that journey. Masculine energy, seeing a feminine, moving towards a feminine this way, moving with intentionality and purpose towards a feminine, doing that hard work, pushing against your own abandonment wound. Why? Because this is a masculine energy, as we said, that's come through their own journey and said, if I want an honest feminine, if I want a feminine to be honest with me, I need to be honest to a feminine. If I want a feminine that is vulnerable to me, then I need to be vulnerable to the feminine. What I aspire and desire to have in the relationship with feminine, I need to give it to feminine so that they can reflect it back to me. And this is how the masculine energy is moving forward at this time, even in the divine union frequency. And this is the masculine energy that's almost, again, healing this, not just for themselves, but this is almost masculine energy, again, feeling that ancient weight of the injustice around potentially the counterpart energy that potentially has time and time again not been served in that way, not been given that, right? When the masculine comes into healing in this way, it feels like it's the way one ought to be, because it's that moment that you almost feel the energetic weight of all the feminine energy. What happens when a masculine comes into alignment with their feminine energy? You suddenly start to feel the emotional weight of all of the injustice or all the imbalance of the feminine energy, right? It makes you effectively want to energetically rise to the challenge to be able to navigate and to build forth in a place of correcting for that imbalance, right? This is why the energies need to move in harmony with each other, because having that sense of what the other is going through amplifies your ability to want to bring it into a sense of rightness, not because someone's asking you to, but because it seems like the most natural way to be. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Five of Wands and its reversal and our Five of Pentacles and its upright. This is the rub. The double fives here. Can I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with, right, I tell you, what happens when masculine energy comes in alignment with their feminine? It starts to sting, doesn't it? It stings a little. It can start to sting because as you build empathy for the feminine, you start to see things through the feminine's eyes. You start to see the injustices. You start to see what the feminine has to go through. It feels to a certain extent that their pain is your pain. So what we see right now in the divine union frequency, what is masculine doing right now? Masculine energy is effectively pushing forward right now, making sure that the feminine energy is at a comfort point with anything that the masculine desires to do, because this is masculine energy manifesting that desired outcome with the feminine, saying, I don't want you in this. I don't want to be in a counterpart energy with you, feeling like you're just coming along for the ride, or feeling like you just have to ask or like move towards what I desire and aspire to do. I want you to be also in your state of empowerment. I want to see you become your most authentic expression of self. I want you to be the silk to steel. I want you to be strong but vulnerable. I want you to be a rose, but I also know that you need your thorns. I want you to be in both of those modalities. I need you to be in both of those modalities, because when you are in both of those modalities, I have the most precious gift on the planet. So what we see here is for the masculine energy recognizing this, feeling this within their own self. It is difficult because what is the masculine energy trying to effectively do in this modality? It feels that anxiety point. It builds that point. And this is what's so hard with the masculine, because this is the masculine that wants to effectively overly protect the feminine, right? But also wants to leave a space or place for them to flourish. This is the difficulty with the masculine energy. How does one navigate something that you're trying to have something that is fragile and strong, but you also want to get very overprotective of? It's a hard nut to crack. It's hard. It triggers the masculine energy. So even now we see that some of that anxiety that effectively energetically rises here. This is almost a masculine energy that wants to come in and build that supportive environment around the feminine, but then almost stops themselves and says, no. What did I say? A masculine that learns the power of holding back on the immediate instinctual desire to overly protect something that they're trying to have flourish and grow, right? So even now we see a lot of that energy happening right now around the masculine in the divine union frequency. That protectiveness, but also not wanting to let that protectiveness curb someone else's development and progression. Feminine, you're potentially feeling and experiencing this to a certain degree because, again, this is that articulation or amplification of the anxiety of your own self. This is feminine energy that tries to move in this modality, right? How is the energy of the feminine working through this to a certain extent? This is the feminine energy trying to, again, build into their own point of strength, building into their own sense of confidence. This is a feminine energy that frequently starts to doubt themselves. They start to let their insecurities and their doubts and fears pull them away. What is the masculine energy doing right now to help with that? Masculine is showing the feminine the value and difference between an anxiety that one holds versus one that can be acted upon, doing it anyway. Resilience, strength, confidence. So even now in the divine union frequency, these energies are energetically pushing each other a bit out of their comfort zone. But that is the moment or opportunity that we're effectively seeing that is helping to amplify, helping to bring forth that desired energetic signature in both of the energies. Masculine, learning the ability and power not to necessarily come into a reactive state. Feminine, having that point of not letting their anxieties and doubts and fears build that sense of overprotectiveness, right? Masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now. This is the energy of the masculine feeling, again, there's a lot, I need to warn you, a lot of energy right now coming into divine union. Don't you dare self-sabotage. I'm going to come to your house if you self-sabotage, okay? I'm going to come to your house. Look at this, okay? Because your own anxiety for the masculine, the amount of your energetic feeling that you're having towards the feminine right now, because things are going well, it almost creates that moment that you're having all these like doubts and fears pop up. Just notice them. Don't start whack-a-moling an unknown fear. Just address it and say, oh, wow, that's the thing that ruined my last relationship. Me thinking like this, me becoming me going, cuckoo bananas. This is what caused the problem last time. So we see with a lot of the masculine energy here, being able to navigate that overprotectiveness that sometimes makes you can't start doing what the heck even is this, right? A lot of the masculine energy observing this to a certain extent right now is the masculine going, I gotcha. Oh yeah, I know that feeling. I know that sensation. There's that energetic energy that comes through in my own head and ruins everything that's good in my life, right? Masculine energy being able to address and assess that. That's the energy saying, I see the fear. Is it a tangible fear? I know, oh look, I'm in a counterpart energy. I can talk to someone about my fears, not accusing them of them, but articulating of them. What's the energy in the divine union going to do? They're going to give me the energetic support on what feels like it is a founded fear without me throwing accusation on it. This is that safe space. What are these energies doing right now in the divine union? It's a space where you can talk. Please, what do? We alchemize that fear into productivity. Tell me what you're afraid of. Show me what you're worried about. Let me put a balm on it. So for the energy that is doing that work, masculine, and even masculine going, why am I afraid to tell the feminine my anxieties? That's even the masculine going, why is it so hard for me to do that? That is that moment of masculine pushing through to a certain extent and saying, I'm healing my connection with feminine. This is something that is deeper here. This is something that I'm working through. This is that moment of me learning to trust the feminine and to build that pathwork of trusting feminine. Feminine coming into divine union right now. This ability of you doing this as well is something that we see. You're also going through moments right now where things are going so well that your own anxieties and fears come through. What if this energy decides they don't want me? What if the energy decides they don't reject me? That's a feminine that's almost saying to themselves, I will be fine. I will be fine. Because this is the energy of the feminine, the divine union, saying, I'm not in a partnership because of desire. I'm in partnership and in alignment with masculine energy or counterpart energy because I work towards my highest version of self. What's in alignment for me wants to be in alignment with me. I don't need to worry about it not wanting to. I just need to be in alignment with the energy that's in alignment with me. This is the feminine energy saying, this is the feminine processing and saying, what if? It's okay. Who cares? What if? This is the feminine energy going, I'm okay anyway. This is the feminine energy almost saying to themselves, I am not in a partnership because I need an energy. I am in a partnership because I desire and aspire to be in alignment with an energy. So this is the feminine energy building that pathwork of resilience, even as coming into divine union, because a lot of energetic unpacking happening here. Masculine and feminine energy in separation. This is the feminine energy having that breakthrough moment and saying, I can be in a partnership with any masculine I desire to a certain extent. I feel connection points to masculine. I need to make sure that the masculine honors the type of connection that I aspire and desire. A masculine can love you and want you, think you are the highest valued item in their life, and still treat you poorly if they don't value the type of connection that you aspire for. You could be the most precious thing in a masculine's life. This is the feminine recognizing and saying, and that energy, if they don't value their own person, will treat the thing that they care about most very, very poorly. That is that moment of feminine saying, my job is not to show the masculine how to take care of me. My job is to see if masculine takes care of the energy around them. My job is to see how the masculine treasures the energy around them. My job is to be perceptive, to hear how the masculine's talking about other feminines. Oh, are they talking badly about their ex? Are they talking badly about all the women that they know? If they're talking badly about all the feminine energy around them except for you, then maybe that's saying something very important about how that masculine energy connects to the feminine. This is the feminine energy that is now moving forward and utilizing their powers of observation and saying, the first thing I need to see in a masculine is a masculine that honors the feminine energy that is around them. I don't even need, it's not even about that first blush of how they treat me. I just need to keep my ears perked on every other feminine energy that is surrounding them. That will tell me all I need to know. So even now, this is the feminine energy potentially moving away from a connection with masculine and going, oh my gosh, all they did was talk negatively about the other feminine in their life. I'm now one of them. I am in that spot now. I'm over there now, right? This is that aspiration point of understanding and recognizing, oh, well, yeah, that energy is looking and saying all these energies of the feminine are rejecting, but they're not paying attention to the fact of the feminine saying, you're not giving me what I need. You're not putting that support in, right? This is the feminine energy that looks and recognizes that's why we see that a lot of the feminine energies right now, like observing and saying, I need to see if this masculine recognizes that they're trying to heal their connection with the feminine. It will be self-evident. Masculine energy. This is effectively a lot of masculine energy in separation right now saying, I need to heal my connection with the feminine, especially if this was masculine that's looking back and seeing some points of separation and saying, I wasn't building something honest with the feminine. I wasn't leading forth with integrity. I wasn't being attentive and saying, I want to build with the feminine. I was looking at having a feminine like a possession, just something like you keep on the shelf, you pull out when you need it. And then I got mad when it wasn't there. Like that's a masculine energy going, what was I thinking? I was looking towards the feminine energy like an object as opposed to being able to build with it, as opposed to feeling like that harmony of learning and growing with the feminine energy and understanding the valuation point that the way that the feminine sees and experiences the world may have a critical point of insight that they can give to me and I can give to them. So we see that for the masculine energy that's healing in this way, and this is what's beautiful about this. This isn't masculine energy changing because a girl's asking you to. This is masculine energy that's saying, I'm doing this because I see it. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Once you feel it, you can't unfeel it. Once you get on that healing journey, it starts feeling like it's almost that moment of masculine saying, the feminine's wounds are my wounds. Their hurt is my hurt. When you're on the healing journey, you're already moving into the divine union frequency. You're like, I can feel that. That must feel awful. That must feel awful for someone to see you like an object. That must feel awful to feel like someone is treating you like an oasis instead of a garden. This is that energy of the masculine in separation going, I feel that pain. I'm not changing this because I hope to get like a prized possession. I'm trying to change this because it's awful. And I don't want to be in that type of energy. I don't want to create that type of negative connection. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Four of Cups in its reversal in combination with our King of Wands. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with Three of Cups. Feminine energy moving forward right now, a lot of the feminine energy and separation is looking towards the connection of masculine around other feminines. It's just that simple. We're just seeing here that there's a lot of this feminine energy right now that's paying a lot of attention to the relationship that masculine has in relationality to the feminine around them. Is the masculine energy looking at the feminine energy like they're party favors, or are they looking at the feminine energy trying to protect them? Are they in that space where they're giving them a drink, or are they in that space where they're checking their cups? This is the feminine energy saying, I am looking for protecting energy. I am looking for the masculine that doesn't do that because they feel like they have some kind of overt power over feminine. I'm looking at this because this is a masculine that has enough feminine energy of empathy towards feminine that they build positive, healthy relationships, trying to support the feminine and recognizing that their own ability to build a positive connection is that moment that feels like it is the tide turning. It feels like it creates that space of joy and positivity. And we almost see that for a lot of the masculine energy that's moving through that state and space of healing, this ability of recognizing is that power of empathy that comes into play around situations or circumstances. It's almost that moment that feels like that point of path correction, of potentially even looking at the past expression of self and saying, I think that there's something here that I can fix. I think that there's something here with my connection to feminine that can be modified or adjusted. I think that there's something that I learned that wasn't the correct lesson. I think I need to do something here in a different way. Similar but different. Similar but different. And that path of responsibility for a lot of the masculine energy and separation is almost amplifying and saying, if I lead with integrity and openness to feminine, I don't need to feel like I'm trying to capture a feminine. I'm going to create a space where I become a garden, where the feminine energy around me trusts me. I'm going to become a space or place that it's a joy to be around me because I've embodied that lesson. It's not something I have to pretend or pantomime. It's something that I need to understand, because once you recognize it, once you feel it, then why would you ever choose something different? Why would you ever choose something different when all you have to do is embody that? So we see that for a lot of the masculine energy right now in separation, this ability of pushing through your own anxiety and fear, saying, I need to be, like, if I want a vulnerable feminine, I better approach the feminine completely vulnerable. If I want an honest feminine, I better approach the feminine with complete honesty. Because whatever I give to the feminine, they're going to be a mirror to me. And I got to break it, you masculine here know this. If you approach a feminine with falsehood, they can tell within 3 seconds. 3 seconds. Not even a chance. So we see here, this is the masculine energy going, oh my God, if I have been approaching feminine from a point of falsehood every time, I just realized I've never had a true connection with feminine, because they could tell from first blush. They could tell the minute I walked up to them. They could tell the minute I said something. They gave me that look and I knew. That was that moment of masculine almost coming into this point of saying, I need to change this within myself. The sooner I do this, the sooner I am able to push through, the sooner I'm able to find that vulnerability point, the sooner I'm able to communicate my emotions, the sooner the energy will find me, because that is the moment that the energy will know that I am a safe space. They will feel that I'm a safe space. I won't even have to try. It'll just be self-evident. So we see that a lot of the masculine energy in this modality, this is that moment that feels like some heavy path correction in separation. Because this is that moment that we see that you're potentially leading forth and coming into a moment of self-correction. Feminine energy in separation. This is manifesting a masculine in this modality. The difference here is feminine is not looking at the unhealed masculine and saying, maybe I can change him. Maybe I can fix him. Maybe I can deal with him. Feminine's going, no more of that. No. This is the feminine energy saying, why would I choose to find someone unhealed? If I found someone unhealed, they're making the intentional choice to be unhealed. Me giving them the gift of me is basically saying, congratulations, you are not leading forward with honesty and integrity. Here is a beautiful trophy for that gift of not moving with sincerity and clarity and openness. Here's the trophy of me. Happy birthday. Welcome, welcome. This is the feminine saying, I need to do this for the sake of the other feminine. This is even feminine saying, if not for me, I'm doing this for the other feminine around me. I need to lead by example. I cannot allow a situation where I can be energetically connected to someone that I'm trying to fix, because all that says is it makes all the other feminine energy around me feel like that's what they have to do too. So we see even now the feminine's like, come correct. Do this work for yourself. And this is feminine energy saying, I'll be happy. If not, I will wait. I have other friends. I have other things I can do. And I will keep my eyes peeled to find the masculine energy that's leading forth in that way. Because feminine energy is basically saying, I'm just not accepting it anymore. That's the energy of the feminine moving forward. When you want to manifest something, you have to be able to release something if you want to receive it. This is feminine saying, I am willing to release the unhealed masculine to manifest the healed masculine. That's how this works. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now. This is feminine feeling that point if that's occurring, because that's the feminine energy saying, I didn't necessarily need to change the masculine into something. I just needed to wait for the right one to arrive. I needed to wait, and I needed to use my powers of observation to see. I needed to wait and see. And when I wait and I see and I leave myself open to that ability and that opportunity, that masculine will know that I am available. They will know I am there, and they will come towards me. That's a feminine energy, potentially even building some of those new energetic pathways right now. The energy in the divine union may have even been telling their friends, where'd you find this person? And the energy of the feminine in the divine union is almost saying to the other energy, I waited. I didn't find them. I just waited. I just went through and was like, I could tell what was. I didn't leave myself open anymore to the energy of the masculine that was playing games. I just moved through that moment of saying, I'm waiting for the one that knows what they want. I'm waiting for the one that comes towards me with intentionality. And that's the feminine energy, potentially even expressing that to those around them. Masculine energy coming into divine union. This is that moment that feels like that moment of personal achievement. Because what are we seeing right now with the masculine energy that's also coming into divine union? There could be a lot of energy around the masculine energy coming into divine union and them saying, what did you do? And masculine's almost saying, I didn't do anything. This is who I became. This is who I became. This is who I had to become. And I didn't do this for the sake of finding my partner. I became the person that was the trusted safe space. I became the energy that was moving from a state of integrity, of openness, of clarity. I don't need to secrete. This is almost the masculine energy saying, like, I have to like, the energy around me still doesn't understand. I need to try to explain and express to them that this isn't something that you do. It is something that you become. When you become that energetic signature, you find alignment with the energy that is feeling that same level or expression. So this is the masculine saying, I did that work. I pushed through my own anxiety of fear. I move with integrity. And I move at all times trying to create a safe space for the energy around me. Masculine and feminine energy that is in divine union. This is that modality of just, again, focusing on the positive and trying to do what is necessary to be able to amplify that positive expression. Masculine and feminine, we see here that even though there's some anxiety here, there is this feeling of energetic breakthrough that's happening right now for a lot of the energy that's been doing a lot of this difficult work in the divine union frequency. Because this is that modality that we see that the energy in the frequency amplifies the positive. Even when there's a negative, you find a productive path work through it. It's like if you're looking at everything and you're forcing it, you're saying, I'm going to make this a positive. That is how it becomes a positive. So we see even now that a lot of the energy in the divine union frequency, they're utilizing their own powers right now to amplify and say, how can I take that negative and turn it into a positive? How can I move this in a positive direction and direct positive intention? So we see even now that that ability to do so, that creates that feeling of energetic positivity. And we see that a lot of the energy in the divine union frequency feels like that in itself. The ability to come into alignment, to choose that path, to be secure in that way, feels like that moment of celebration. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our King of Wands in combination with our Justice card in its reversal. Clarification coming through right now with, look at this beautiful energy that is now effectively happening here. We've got here our King of Pentacles, masculine and feminine energy in the divine union frequency. What are we seeing that's effectively happening here? The masculine energy almost saying to themselves, when you're willing to do that hard work, when you're willing to push through, when you're willing to push through your own abandonment wound, when you're willing to push through your own fear or anxiety of communication, when you're willing to push through and be your most vulnerable, authentic self, that's the moment that creates the space within the masculine of, again, stability and communication. It doesn't happen naturally. In fact, in a way, this is masculine energy that feels the weight of intentionality of how you could effectively move into unalignment at any moment. This is masculine energy that's like, I could move this into a space of everything moving in my direction at any time. This is the masculine saying, it's not worth it. It's lonely there. This is the masculine energy saying, in a way, this is masculine trying to bring some of that energy of balance towards the feminine, because this is in a way masculine almost observing in the divine union frequency how even when they're not trying, things are intuitively more inclined to be easier for them than the feminine energy. What happens with a masculine energy that just observes, sees with their powers of observation how much easier it is for them to move in that way, to have that confidence, to have that stability. What happens to a masculine energy that is very much in alignment with feminine and observes the imbalance? They want to change it. They want to accommodate for it. They want to redistribute that energetic equivalent back towards the feminine in a way, because this is the masculine energy saying, I recognize it's easier in a certain way for me, and even that shouldn't be easier. Right? That's the masculine energy coming into that state of energetic fairness that is the pathwork of deep integrity, that integral pathwork that occurs of a masculine moving forward in a way that they know is right and honorable. A lot of the energy in the divine union frequency is moving in that vibration. They're trying to correct an imbalance. They're trying to correct an imbalance that is leaning towards them, right? Almost like pushing the plate, right? Almost being like, no, this is good. I don't need this. They do, right? Feminine energy, seeing the masculine in this modality, seeing masculine energy, that even at a time when it feels like things are moving in their favor, they're always being mindful of trying to create that balance point, always trying to recognize and see. But again, what is this masculine energy doing right now that is so valuable and important? This is masculine energy that if they're coming into alignment with the feminine, they're not trying to create a space where they're just trying to have the feminine lean on them to a certain extent. This is masculine energy and feminine that are working through this together, because this is, again, a feminine masculine energy that's looking towards the connection with feminine and saying, I don't want to create a space that you feel like you just are completely supported by me. I don't want to create a place where you feel like that doesn't create a healthy connection either. Do you see that? Because this is, again, the energy saying, when you start to worry too much about me creating that stability point in your life, guess what? That's not an equal alignment. That's not an equal partnership. That disempowers you. So even now we see that a lot of this energetic alignment, if you will, is creating that state or space of masculine encouraging the feminine, and feminine also feeling that, but seeing a masculine that is ever mindful that things are easier for them, but also at the same time is not utilizing that to build the connection with the feminine, is doing everything they can to help the feminine continue to rise forward of their own volition, becoming their best version of self, right? This is some very tricky energy here. You see this? This is very fine. This is very fine-tuned kind of work here. You understand this? Again, you want to facilitate someone's own progress and journey, but also feel like that point where you don't create that sense of them feeling like they can't do so on their own, right? That's hard. So we see that a lot of the energy in this space or place are navigating that there are these periods or spaces of imbalance between the masculine and feminine, bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. But even here, this is almost the masculine not wanting to overtake the feminine energy's own journey, right? And that's why we even see, while the masculine may be feeling that need or desire to become overprotective, this is masculine again, almost saying, I need to step back. I'm not here to kind of save the feminine energy. I'm here to allow the feminine energy to thrive the way that they need to thrive. So we see even the energy coming into divine union right now. It does feel like a little bit of that energetics challenging space, if you will, because it's all about how do you come into balance with something that feels like it's already inherently or ancestrally imbalanced, if you will. Continuing, masculine and feminine in separation right now. What is effectively, energetically helping the feminine energy come into a deeper understanding on why something that they were moving away from doesn't work? Feminine energy is seeing expressions of stable masculine energy around them right now. This energy, I told you this was happening. The energy of the feminine that's moving forward in this way is encountering the healed masculine energy as they make the difficult decision of moving away from energy that isn't in alignment, right? That ability to do so right now. That's why we see even now, this is feminine energy. They don't even feel like they're releasing that expression of a masculine. This is almost a feminine energy saying, I hope they understand one day. I hope they come into alignment. And this is potentially feminine getting validation from other masculine energy saying, I know that expression of the energy. I know what that unhealed masculine energy looks like. Validating and saying, yes, I recognize and I see and I know what you've gone through. But even now, this is masculine energy that isn't effectively moving in a space or place of saying that they're better than it. They're almost saying from that articulation of saying, I understand what leads to it because I myself had to go through my own journey of navigating through it. Masculine in separation right now. This is masculine energy in separation going through it. This is masculine energy saying, I need to be the thing that I desire. I need to find that within myself. I need to make these changes for myself to be able to facilitate and to correct for anything in the past that did not work in that capacity. So this is a lot of the masculine energy in separation right now, doing a lot of this work on their own internal self for the sake of modifying and correcting even now energetically what they may have felt was that expression of trying to move forward from a state and space of authenticity and integrity towards feminine. Potentially even getting advice from masculine energy that has done this type of work on the way. Utilizing the powers of, again, making sure that the advice that you're seeking are from energies that you feel are in balance, right? Looking towards the energy that already has these things or already moves in this way, almost in that modality of saying, what do I need to adjust within myself to come into better alignment of that imbalance? Continuing, and again, it's one of those modalities, and this is even now the difference of the energy. This is potentially even masculine, recognizing the difference of masculine that looks towards feminine like possessions versus masculine looking towards other masculine energy that says, you have to change this within yourself. You have to start with recognizing the imbalance and then desiring at every moment to make it balanced. That's the difference of, again, some of the shift in energy here that's potentially happening. Even now, we may see that masculine's feeling that like incongruity in relationality to what they were taught, potentially looking at how to get a girl versus the energy of masculine saying, this is how you become the type of energy that brings abundance, that creates a space where feminine energy feels that they can be their most authentic expression of self. Even now, this is masculine, feeling frustrated, potentially, feeling like something about that path of correction was energy that was almost like misguiding them all along. This is the ascension of the path work, as it were, in terms of relationality and saying the way I was looking at things or the way that I was taught was wrong. It's not about getting something, it's about becoming someone. It's not about getting someone, it's about becoming someone. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Justice card in its reversal in combination with our Star in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our Seven of Cups in its reversal. Feminine and masculine energy in separation right now. This is the feminine energy. This is hard for the feminine energy in separation. This is feminine energy in separation saying, even now, it's hard because for a lot of the feminine energy, your emotional connection to someone, even now, this is feminine energy saying, I need to be more careful energetically on who I emotionally or I connect with. Because this is the feminine energy that almost says, when I am energetically connect with someone that is in an imbalance point, it doesn't bring balance. Me energetically or emotionally connecting to an energy I can recognize is going to bring is imbalance. My presence, the feminine presence, isn't going to suddenly make this energy change. Be like, oh, you know what? I was moving in this point that was unaligned, and then I got the most valuable thing on the planet, and I decided to change because I secured the thing that was the most valuable to me. This is feminine energy almost again, having that point of accountability and saying, my mistake or my correction point was feeling like someone after they received me would make some kind of choice to just change. This is the feminine energy saying, what is that? That doesn't even make any sense. This is almost a feminine energy saying, what was I thinking? Because this is the feminine energy saying, if I choose them and they're in imbalance, then I just gave them a prize. I just gave them a reward. I was like, congratulations, you're not in imbalance. Here you go. Here's me. Here's a gift. Here's a gift for all of that work that you've just done in staying in imbalance. So we see even now that this is feminine energy moving forward and out of separation with a higher level or degree of discernment. Masculine energy in separation. This modality, this ability to do so, this is that moment of masculine saying to a certain extent, I don't want to lead forth and have an imbalanced relationship with the feminine. That when I'm not open with the feminine, of course the feminine is not open with me. When I'm not authentic with the feminine, of course the feminine is not authentic with me. And then I say to myself, I can't trust women. Did you trust the woman when you first encountered them? Were you authentic when you first encountered the feminine? If you're encountering a feminine that feels false, you need to first ask yourself, where did the falsehood start? This is the masculine energy doing this work in separation and saying, I need to become a clear shield. I need to become a mirror for the feminine, because whatever I provide the feminine, they're going to reflect back to me. I am setting the course. I am laying the groundwork. Everything out of my mouth is a lesson to the feminine on how to navigate me. So I better be sure that when I navigate a feminine, I am leading forth with authenticity and clarity. Because if I lead forth to the feminine with false promises and lies, guess what? The feminine is going to return right back with false promises and lies. This is that masculine energy saying, I need to become what I aspire to become, to be able to attract the energy that is going to match me, because the feminine energy around me has reflected whatever I give forth to them. So even now we see a lot of this masculine energy doing a lot of this difficult work in separation, saying, I'm not doing it for the feminine, I'm doing it for myself. And the feminine energy that I may have come into separation with has taught me this lesson, and that is helping me even now. So even now in separation, this is masculine that feels like they've learned a very deep, valuable lesson from a feminine that they may have fallen into separation with. But this is a lot of that lesson coming back. Masculine energy and feminine coming into the divine union frequency. This is that moment that is amplifying that sense of anxiety may be rising up right now, even as things are moving smoothly. But what is happening right now for the energy that's staying in the divine union frequency? Anything that feels like an anxiety point, bringing it forward. The divine union frequency, there isn't a fear that you can say that won't be met with the balm of healing. Putting forth those anxieties, immediately having them healed. Energetically right now for the feminine. Even now, feeling that anxiety or uncertainty, this is the feminine energy staying in the divine union frequency and saying, I know and recognize when I'm in divine union that people change, things change, situations change. This is the feminine saying, I will be okay. I will be okay. Because this is the feminine energy saying, I don't stay in partnership for the sake of leaning heavily on someone. I stay in partnership because I amplify that choice, and I want them to amplify that choice. Same here with the masculine. This is masculine energy right now that amplifies and builds that sense of strength with the feminine that says, again, my recognition point here is seeing the feminine energy that continues to make the choice towards me, even in those moments that are energetically difficult, because this is the feminine and masculine energy in a way. And this is the problem with some of the masculine energy right now in the divine union frequency. It's creating that space or place of feeling the full weight of wanting to move forward in a protective capacity around a feminine, but also realizing and recognizing that this is masculine that holds themselves back to a certain degree, pulls back on their own immediate instinct. Because this is that sense that we're basically seeing here, that again, I told you, allowing an energy, a space or place to grow and thrive sometimes requires that point of being able to like give advisement or guidance, but not necessarily wanting to step in, overstep, right? That is what we're effectively seeing here to a certain extent for a lot of the masculine energy in the divine union frequency. That moment, and I feel like it's that point of like creating a protective space around a feminine, but also not wanting to step in to such an extent that you feel like you're curtailing the feminine energy's own ability to understand and find themselves. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now, between our Three of Cups in combination with our King of Pentacles. One card to clarify. Clarification coming through right now with our Seven of Pentacles in its reversal. Masculine and feminine energy in the divine union frequency. One of the things that we're energetically seeing right now for both masculine and feminine has to do in the divine union frequency with that sense of energetic alignment in relationality to what you're effectively growing versus what you can appreciate now. We keep seeing this coming through right now for the energy in the divine union frequency. Wanting to pull the manifestation goal into the present, looking at something and saying, what is effectively blocking or stopping that? Even now, we're effectively seeing to a certain extent masculine and feminine energy, recognizing and identifying what feels like it is that point of refinement and comfort. And even now, we're effectively seeing to a certain extent something about this that keeps coming into play in relationality to how much time, effort, and energy both masculine and feminine have in the divine union frequency. You've only got so much bandwidth. You've only got so much energy, as it were. And even now, that point of refinement that's coming through right now, it's requiring a lot of that sense of, I want to say, like the Venn diagram, if you will, in terms of what feels like it is in alignment with both masculine and feminine, to help prioritize what you're putting your care and effort and concentration in at the present versus what you feel like you are effectively pushing aside or pushing back on. This is that moment or opportunity of, again, that's why we see so much planning coming into play for a lot of the energy in the divine union frequency right now, because this is the amplification point of saying to oneself, it's not that I'm not going to move, we're not going to do something here, but we need to recognize what needs to be prioritized first versus what is taking too much time, effort, and energy, if you will. What is creating that moment that isn't necessarily leading to that point of productivity here? That's that effort or point of discernment that's potentially happening right now. A lot of this may be feeling like there's a little bit of this energy of feminine that's trying to take on too much, that's trying to do too many things. I told you these energies are acting as clear mirrors for each other. So what is the masculine saying in a gentle way to the feminine in the divine union frequency? They're saying to them, you got a bit of a habit. This is masculine, almost saying this in a loving way to the feminine. You got a little bit of a habit of taking on more than you can chew and then feeling bad because you took on more than you can chew and not realizing that that doesn't mean that you're not amazing. It just means that you're overly ambitious at times in terms of your own ability to do everything. So this is the masculine energy helping the feminine, if you will, even through their own feelings of doubt or frustration and saying, I think you're doing an amazing job, except you have a hard time potentially prioritizing things at times. Feminine, you may be receiving a note like this from the masculine. You may be feeling like that even in the divine union frequency, but what is the energy in the divine union frequency doing? The feminine energy in the divine union frequency is probably saying, you're absolutely right. Like, you're absolutely right. I do that, right? And that's the ability of the masculine that, again, feels like you're acting as clear mirrors, because even here, we see that these energies are trying to help each other become their best version of self, right? Masculine and feminine, even in this modality, coming into divine union, what are we energetically seeing? The energy coming into divine union right now is effectively coming into a space or place that feels a little difficult, because even now we see that there's a lot of shifting of priorities that's potentially happening right now for the energy in the divine union frequency. It's the positive and the negative, which again is almost best amplified in the sense or the recognition point that when we come into divine union, our energy, we start to prioritize the energy of the divine union over the energy outside of it. So we see even now that a lot of the energy in the divine union frequency may be making a lot of accommodations and adjustments, potentially even in plans that they may have had laid out. Why? Because they didn't expect to find themselves in the divine union frequency. So there may be like a lot of like recorrection points that are happening right now in relationality to plans that were set forth, because this energy is like, I didn't expect to find myself here. It snuck up on me. I told you, there's a lot of surprise energy happening right now for the energy coming into divine union. Masculine and feminine energy in separation. This is it. There's a lot of energetic connections that are just reaching kind of a conclusion point right now. And that even has to do effectively or energetically, it has to do with that sense of frustration in terms of feeling like one has waited too long to see some kind of effective change. The gift here of healing that's coming through with a lot of these situations is someone saying to themselves, if I stayed in a situation with the aspiration of it changing, but I never saw any evidence that it would do so, this is the energy that is finally in that point of releasing something, because that's the observation of saying to oneself, if I was waiting forever in a place for something to grow, maybe that just meant I was in the wrong place, right? If I was standing on that bridge waiting for someone to meet me on that bridge and they never came, maybe that's because we're on different bridges. So even now we see energetically a lot of that breakthrough energy that's effectively occurring here has to do with the energy not coming into a state or space of blame of the counterpart. This isn't energy that's basically saying, oh, they wouldn't give it to me. It's almost the energy saying, I was looking for something in the wrong place. I was letting my energy of care try to pull something out of someone that they did not possess. So we see even now that moment of understanding is being amplified, even with a lot of this energy and separation, seeing tangible new opportunities around them that feel like they are easier or more productive because they feel like they're in better alignment. Because I told you, this energy in separation is putting one foot in front of the other, and they're walking right into a party. They're walking right into the space where all of the energy is almost in alignment with them to a certain degree, because that's being amplified right now in relationality to seeing evidence of the path work that you've been working on that has led a lot of energy into separation. So even now we're seeing for feminine, something about the example of the masculine around you, almost the masculine and your friends amplifying and giving you that energetic support that is almost telling you like you are moving in the right direction. Even if you're not in partnership right now, this could be the energy saying, well, I see why you left. I understand. I can see that you did everything you could do. Masculine, if you are in separation right now, this change that you're implementing in your own self, this is that modality of, again, a lot of the masculine in separation saying, I want to do this change. I'm doing these things for myself because I want to be a space or place where I can be my most authentic expression of self, and recognize that when I am in my most authentic expression of self, the energy that's in alignment with me will find me, and they'll feel safe and they'll feel supportive. So even now we see that this is masculine energy that is working through this pathwork of authenticity, even if it's hard, and potentially getting, very much like we just said, advice from other masculine energy and support from the feminine and from energy around you as you do so, because this is that true energetic unpacking. And for a lot of the energy right now of the masculine, this is the difference I need to stress between feeling like you're having an honest conversation with someone for the sake of their own benefit versus someone telling you what may be energetically hard to hear, recognizing that they're trying to tell you something that they think might make things better for you. So for a lot of the energy of the masculine right now, a little bit of that unpacking, potentially realizing and recognizing the difference between energy that's around you that tells you something that they feel like you want to hear versus telling you something that you need to hear, is coming very heavily into the expression of observation and understanding for a lot of the masculine energy right now that is in separation. Because that's that moment that you're utilizing your own powers of discernment in relationality to the advice that you're receiving and what you're trying to manifest for yourself. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now, between our King of Pentacles in combination with our Seven of Cups in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our Ten of Cups in its reversal. Masculine and feminine energy that is in separation. One of the things that may be feeling very frustrating right now for a lot of the masculine energy in separation is a lot of this path work in terms of healing the past self, looking potentially at the past, observing that something that you were taught about your connection with feminine may have been misaligned. It may have even come from a space or place of someone trying to authentically teach you something that they thought was correct. But this moment of discernment, that differentiation between what you aspire and desire for versus what another may aspire and desire for, that in itself is something that we're seeing here that is leading to a level or degree of energetic empathy, because that's that moment of observing the energy around you versus what it is that you effectively aspire and desire, and taking that moment of opportunity in recognizing that your ability to navigate that needs to be in terms of looking at the energy around you and asking yourself, do they want to manifest the same thing that you do? Is the energy that you're taking advice for, are you guys moving towards the same manifestation goal? Because we see here that even energetically right now, for a lot of the masculine energy and separation, this could be this point of deep, deep path work that's occurring, both in relationality to your own self, but also towards where you may have been receiving that point of guidance or advice, almost recognizing that when you're moving in that way, you want to make sure that you guys all have the same manifestation goal, because that could be the moment of masculine looking around and saying, well, there's some masculine energy around me that aspires and desires something very different than I aspire and desire for. So we see even now, this is like that path of deep healing and self-correction that a lot of the masculine energy is potentially reaching right now. And some of it may have to do with some of the energetic connections from the past, or what you feel like you need to shift in relationality to what you've seen in partnership, or what you were told that you should aspire for. Masculine and feminine energy in separation right now. This is that observational point of a lot of feminine energy, just recognizing and feeling that there's some masculine energy that just does not aspire and desire divine union. It's just some of the energy doesn't desire it. It's not for everybody. Some of the energy of masculine would rather be in a modality where they feel like they have complete autonomy, and they want that to be the prioritization of a relationship with the feminine. This is why a lot of the feminine energy right now in separation is utilizing their own powers of discernment to try to ascertain, by speaking to the masculine about their long-term aspirations and goals, what it is they truly desire. And if there's a masculine that doesn't want to talk about the future, maybe that's because they don't aspire for a future with feminine. Maybe that's because the masculine energy, it maintains a point of desiring their autonomy over everything. And for a feminine, recognizing and identifying that, that's almost the moment the feminine says, that's all I need to see. For a lot of the feminine energy in separation, this is a lot of that pathwork of discernment that's potentially happening. Masculine and feminine coming into, and that's a feminine saying, it's not my job to change them. It's not my job to convince them otherwise. It's my job to observe it and then move away from it. Masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union. This is that modality of the feminine feeling again Not that this isn't the feminine, someone saying like, what did you do to change that energy? This is the feminine energy saying, I didn't change anything. I found the masculine energy that aspires and desires for the same things that I do. I found the masculine energy moving towards me with integrity that was able to articulate what they wanted, and they were moving from a place and space of being open about their feelings, pushing forward, showing an ability to be consistent, not letting their reactivity of emotionality lead them astray, but leading them to build a bridge with me. This is a masculine that did a lot of work on themselves prior to finding me. I didn't fix this energy. This energy is healed, and I waited for it. So we see even now a lot of the feminine energy feeling that point of understanding on their own path work that was in relationality to releasing the energy prior to this, to be able to come across the energy that feels like they're ready to actually build forth with. Masculine and feminine in the divine union frequency. This is that mobility of discernment that effectively the energy in the union frequency is receiving and moving towards, which is again that assertion of recognizing and identifying that you may have a lot of things that you aspire and desire to do right now, but being able to maintain that focus, being able to maintain that prioritization. That is that energetic movement that we are seeing right now that is amplifying a lot of this energy at this time, utilizing a point of prioritization in relationality to what you effectively aspire and desire versus when you can do it. So even now, there may be something that we're seeing that the masculine is helping the feminine in relationality to prioritizing their jobs, prioritizing their goals, helping them get that point of focus, while masculine is receiving from feminine a lot of that point of inspiration, that ability of being able to balance their emotional center, feeling a space or place where they can basically shed their energetic armor, if you will, as they continue forward from this point. These energies are experiencing some anxiety in relation to the future. But what are they doing in the face of that anxiety? They are putting practical work in what they can actually achieve and maintain while navigating that the rest is just kind of the environment that they inhabit at this time. That's that moment of saying, like, you can do everything you can around the things that you can, and you just have to accept the rest. Final card for today between our 7 of Pentacles in its reversal in combination with our 10 of Cups in its reversal. May I have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Page of Cups. Masculine and feminine energy right now in the divine union frequency. This is that moment of, again, amplifying the positive. It's not that everything is perfect once you enter the divine union frequency. You're dealing with a lot of difficult things all the time. But at the same time, it's the ability of recognizing that you're not doing it alone. You're not facing those things in a point of solitude. You've got energy around you that's doing everything they can to help create that same feeling of support, that same energy of, again, being able to really concentrate on what feels like you can tackle, what needs to come into a point of accommodation. Even now we see that the energy of the divine union frequency is feeling some of that weight of frustration and anxiety, right? This is some of that abandonment wound. What's the abandonment wound of the energy in the divine union frequency? The anxieties of the things that you don't have the ability to control for. What is the energy doing right now in the face of it? Offering each other energetic or emotional support to help through those anxieties and doubts and fears. Masculine and feminine energy that is coming into the divine union frequency. This is that moment. It does feel like that point, the same type of energy that we're effectively seeing here, as it were. That same feeling. And that's why I want to say right now, I don't want any of you, but anyone here self-sabotaging. Letting something moving so easily right now make you feel frightened or afraid, because this is that moment that we may see that when things are going smoothly, that's when the abandonment wound loves to like shake its little head out of the dirt. That's the moment it likes to pop up with all of those unseen doubts and fears. Make sure that you're just looking and observing it, but not playing whack-a-mole and moving yourself into some point of energetic frenzy over what you feel like you can't control versus what you may observe is like your typical anxiety or doubt or fear creeping up that may feel like it's trying to like spoil the thing that's going well for you right now. For a lot of the energy right now that is in separation, this is where we are seeing that a lot of this energetic path work right now feels like the amplification of suddenly getting clarity in relationality to the new energetic experiences that you are encountering as you move forward from what you feel like doesn't serve you. What is the energy right now in separation doing? They're moving away from a situation or circumstance that they may have put a lot of time, effort, and energy in, feeling like they did everything that they could to try to foster or build a positive situation. Having that moment of recognizing the difference between what they feel like they can energetically change versus what they feel like they can accept, and coming through that dark night of the soul of doubt and fear, they are finding the energy that said, I just did the same. I'm in the same boat. I just came through the same process. Nice to meet you. How are you? Right? This is that energetic support of other energy observing and saying, I see and recognize that you've done everything you can. That is not a sign or symptom that you did something wrong. If you've done everything you can, that means that that's that moment on the healing journey that you have to recognize that one of the things that healers have to do is make sure that you don't take on additional karmic burden that is not yours. So we see even now that is almost that opportunity that's coming through right now for a lot of the energy that's on this cycle to help them recognize and have those new energetic engagements that understand the process or the path work that may have led you into that point of separation, which potentially is now leading to new energetic connections, leading to divine union frequency. Bottom of the deck on this reading right now is High Priestess in its reversal. The difficulty or hurdle with a lot of the feminine energy is feminine energy has a deep issue sometimes with trusting their own self. Having that modality of self-doubt, it is important. It leads to a lot of wisdom. A good energetic energy is one that constantly questions oneself. We don't want to move into a space or place of just assuming that one knows everything. But even now we see that a lot of the energy right now of the feminine has those moments of doubting their own path, doubting their own self. The energy of the masculine, seeing and recognizing this right now. What is the masculine doing right now? They are building that space of encouragement. They are amplifying to the feminine, if anything. This may be the masculine saying to the feminine again in the divine union frequency, you do have this one habit that might need some more work. And that is the feminine doubting their own ability or doubting their own insight. That's why we see a lot of the energy in the divine union frequency doing a lot of work to empower the feminine. Masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union, this is why I'm worried about self-sabotage, because for a lot of the masculine and feminine energy in the divine union frequency, we've got a lot of abandonment wounds coming up because masculine, you're becoming very connected to a feminine. What happens when the masculine starts feeling overly connected to the feminine? Masculine needs to start protecting the feminine from their own doubts and fears so that the masculine does not become too overbearing towards the feminine that they're trying to build a connection with. Trying to create that space of having the feminine energy be able to thrive is almost looking at the feminine energy again as one would almost observe and take care of a garden. And feminine having that modality too in the same moment. The anxiety of leaning too much on the masculine is creating that space of the place of the feminine saying, even if the masculine energy connection departs, it's not because you need the masculine energy that sustains the partnership. It is that modality of feeling that you yourself would still be in a point of strength. Even now we see that this is a feminine that's wrestling with that ability to feel connected to masculine without wanting to feel like they're feeling too overly dependent upon it. Both of these energies have to be very careful about self-sabotaging themselves in these moments. Masculine and feminine in separation right now. This is feminine energy feeling a deep connection to a masculine energy that they are leaving potentially behind right now. But we see here that this is a feminine energy that's feeling that doubt or fear because that's the energetic equivalent of feminine almost asking themselves, is there something else I could do? Is there anything else I could do? Is there something that I didn't do? Is there something I could have done better to facilitate healing beyond having to come into a point of departure? And for a lot of the feminine energy, this is that moment that feels like the weight of a feminine saying, I'm not good enough because I couldn't heal them. Feminine, remember, it is not your job. It's not your job. It's not your job to heal masculine energy. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. It is your job to facilitate your own healing so that the masculine can facilitate theirs. Masculine energy, You may be in separation right now. You may be going through a profound healing journey because you received or realized that you're now in indefinite separation with a feminine. Recognizing and identifying to a certain extent that that gift, that is the gift that the feminine has effectively just given you. That is that moment that you may be recognizing and realizing that the departure of a feminine from your life was their parting gift to you. That was not a gesture of the feminine abandoning you. That was an expression of their healing. This is going to feel like this could be a lot of profound insight coming to masculine that is recognizing and realizing that. That is our daily collective read for today. I'd like to thank you guys so much for being here and receiving these messages. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my website, graystrega.com. My private readings are done over video, and if you are a subscriber to my TikTok, you can take 10% off any of my services when you pay. Just mention your subscriber ID at the point of payment. Please keep in mind, if you book a private reading with me, it is a 2-step process. You have to book the reading, you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you would like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never DM you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my website. So I encourage you to do it there. I'd like to thank you guys so much for being here with me today and sharing with me in these messages. And we will do this again tomorrow.